As far as my background, yeah, I'm a pianist. I studied classical piano, and when I was in high school, I played jazz, and then in college, actually, I was in a hip-hop band. And I've always done, I would say, many different genres of music. So I still compose a lot of music in a classical style, but I also produce a lot of hip-hop music as well. So this film was sort of a perfect way to be able to combine a lot of these elements that I already combine most of the time. So in the film, there are hip hop beats. There are sort of there are rock tracks that I wrote. There are some jazz tracks with piano. So there's a few just with some piano. But you're right. Most of it is a broad range of styles. And I thought that was so much fun. Actually, Adam, the director, is really, he's amazing, and he had very strong, very good, strong ideas on the music. So working with him was great, and we were able to explore a lot of different styles. For me, that's one of the beauties of film music, is that for each film you get to explore a different world, someone else's world that they've created. And I think the challenge, but the excitement also, is to within that world to find your own voice in there. And for me, so much of that has to do with the working relationship with the director and how well we're both able to communicate. So for this, it was really awesome. We were able to really find a unique voice, and Adam had a very clear image in his mind of the music. So it was great being able to write music that I love that also fit. Adam? Yeah. So actually, I first met Adam many years ago. We have many mutual friends, and in 2009, I believe it was, Adam co-directed a short film called Killer, which actually went to was at Lincoln Center in the New Directors Festival there, and I wrote a hip-hop track for that short. And it was so much fun working on that, and that was the first time I think I had really seen the very, the great work that he could do in creating a world. I think in Gimme the Loot, one of the really beautiful things is you really are immersed in this world that feels very real, but it's very special. And I think I knew at that point that he could do really great work. And I was very excited when we spoke last year about doing this project. A lot of that actually was Adam. He was very instrumental in figuring out the different points of the film, and that was actually what made it so much fun to come up with ideas, because we knew exactly what we needed in certain places. We knew what feeling we wanted in different places, and so then for me, instead of having to choose, not only what music but also where, it was a lot easier. So it was sort of like, well, let's just choose what music because we know where we need it. So it was very specific. And for example, there's a scene in in the bedroom when they're both smoking weed and they're about to hook up. And we knew that we needed a sort of rock track that sounded like people would be listening to it when they were smoking weed. So we had that vision in our minds, and with that, I came up with the music there. So that each scene was kind of like that. It was very specific. So in college, I majored in psychology, and while I was there, I became very fascinated with the field of how music is understood by the brain. And for me, I think it helps a lot. It helps think about the ways in which, at least, music is always an art, but there are certain ways of thinking about the music itself from a music theory perspective, analyzing music in different ways, and I definitely think about how that is going to get into people's minds and the type of effect that might have. So I think it's certainly, it's certainly a useful element of my my perspective, I guess. I think we very intentionally chose the music the way we did because early on we felt that a typical score, or what we think of as a more standard score, where it's entirely almost like a narrative function, where it's possibly orchestral or jazz, but where it flows similarly throughout the film. I think early on we knew that that wasn't the right way to go, and Adam very clearly knew that he wanted to make the film feel real in the context of the music that the characters lived in. So I think that the dramatic function of the music in the different scenes was very much what is the best music as almost stylistically in some sense to bring out what's happening, but within each scene the type of the music itself was scored just the same way any movie that I would write for would be. So for example, I think while the styles were different in each scene, if we wanted to highlight certain elements, or if we wanted, the piece itself would follow that scope. So it was sort of, each scene was like a micro score, I guess you could say. Well, I've always loved film music since I was very young, and actually, of late, I've been doing a lot of independent films and a lot of shorts for a long time, and the ability to work on features has always been a dream of mine. So I actually scored my first feature in college. The film never was released, actually, and I still hope it will be released at one point. But that was my first. It's a film called Domino 1, and that was the first Domino 1. And that was the first film I scored, and I was about, I guess, 20, and that was a full orchestral score. And after that experience, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to do. But it took time. I mean, it definitely took time trying different things, different films. I've done music for commercials. I've done music for shorts. I've done a lot of different styles. But certainly, it's always been a dream to be able to do features, and it's just such a great experience being able to work with great directors. And I find that the ability to write music, for me, music that goes with visual images and with a story, is it's very, very satisfying. And I think when I write music, I always imagine it, I think, very visually. So this sort of, I think the best thing for someone like that is to be able to write film music.